What's up, everyone? What you're looking at here is footage from one of the most beautiful places in the United States, which is called Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore. It's an area that you'll find in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which you can see pictured here on this map, and it's right on the coast of Lake Superior. And I would say that the views that you find here and the things that you can do rival the kind of stuff that you see in other popular places in the States like the Oregon coast. Now, what I want to do in this video is give you a first-time visitor guide to this place because there's a lot to see and do, a lot of different ways that you can explore and get the most out of your visit, but without proper preparation, that can be tough to accomplish. And as someone that's been here more than once, I know a bit about how to explore this area, so I'm going to give you a few of my own personal recommendations. So to get started with, there are basically two entry points into Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore. And if I expand this map a little bit, you're going to see that there's one area on the eastern end which is called Grand Marais. So it's a little town, but the eastern entrance into Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore is from Grand Marais. Now, if you go all the way to the western end of it, the entrance from the western side of Pictured Rocks is Munising. Now, one thing I'm going to recommend, because I've entered Pictured Rocks from both Grand Marais and Munising, is that you start on Grand Marais and work your way west to Munising. One of the things that you can do once you enter Pictured Rocks is actually drive through their main scenic road, which is this one right here. It's H58, but it is closed during the winters because of the weather. Pictured Rocks, I believe, is open during the winter, but there are places in it that are closed, and I believe the road is one of them. But if you are visiting during one of the other seasons, and I recommend fall, which is around late September, you'll probably get some amazing fall foliage views in this area. But anyway, one thing that I recommend is visiting from the east and working your way west. And the reason why is because the views of Pictured Rocks, in my experience, they just basically get better and better as you make your way west. So it's kind of like you're saving the best for last when you start in the east. Not to say that the eastern end of Pictured Rocks isn't beautiful, but what you usually get in terms of terrain is more flat areas and sandy beaches on the eastern end, and more giant cliffs, natural bridges, just amazing, stunning coastal views towards the western end of Pictured Rocks. And for me personally, I prefer the western end over the eastern end. So if you want to get the whole picture of Pictured Rocks, I recommend starting on the east and working your way towards the west, towards Munising, basically. Now, one thing I want to share with you is that there are different ways to explore this place. To start off with, you can explore it by car and foot, so that's basically one way. The second way is by boat, and those two things can give you a completely different but awesome experience in Pictured Rocks. To get started with, if you enter by car from Grand Marais or perhaps Munising, and you start working your way through this drive that I shared with you, there's going to be exit points throughout this entire drive, which I believe is a little over 30 miles or 25 to 30 miles, which can lead you to campsites. So if you like camping, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for that here, as well as trailheads to beaches, to waterfalls. There's Sable Falls, for example, which is really, really beautiful. Miners Castle, Miners Falls, a whole bunch of hikes. And if you're looking for a really awesome hike, the one that is considered the most popular in the park is the hike, let me just double check here, it's called Chapel Rock and Chapel Beach. It's a hike that's Chapel Loop, basically. It's a little over 10 miles long, and as you're driving on this road over here, it's going to be a trailhead that is, you can find it on your GPS, that's going to take you into a dirt road that'll have a large parking lot. It's usually really filled up because Pictured Rocks is very popular, but you can do a long loop trail towards the shore of Pictured Rocks, where you will see beautiful coastal views of the cliffs, the natural arch or the natural bridge, the famous pictures of Pictured Rocks that you probably see online. This is the trail that's going to take you there. There are shorter versions of that trail, but that is the main loop trail in Pictured Rocks that'll give you the best views of the area in my experience. Other notable hikes and areas to check out are Miners Castle, which has an awesome view from the top, as well as from the bottom, which I'll cover in a moment when I talk about the boating experience in Pictured Rocks. But just as well, there is also one large trail that is basically parallel to the main drive in Pictured Rocks, and that's a little over 20 miles long. That is something that you might want to do if you're like doing a through hike or something, but it's not not an easy hike. Those are the options that are available to you. You can see a full list of hikes on the official Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore site, so I'll leave that for you to check out on your own time. But the next thing that I want to cover is what I consider to be an even better way to explore Pictured Rocks, and that is by boat. And the thing about the boat is that you actually have more than one option when it comes to that. You've probably seen pictures of people kayaking on Pictured Rocks, maybe taking a large boat, or maybe taking a tour. What's available? What can you do? So that's what I want to talk about in this section of the video. And so the thing to understand is, Pictured Rocks, when it comes to boating, you can actually go literally along this entire shoreline and explore all of these beautiful places. There's even one called Grand Island, and there's actually a shipwreck in this area. Actually, there it is, Shipwreck Bermuda, that's what it's called. You can actually, it's a bit of a treasure hunt to find, but the idea is you rent a boat, and there's a bunch of options that are available in Munising over here, and I'll leave a link to the one that I used, but basically you have a couple of options. You can, the most popular one is renting a kayak, and that is going to give you, like, you can literally paddle right next to the cliffs. But here's the thing, it's not something where you just grab a kayak and go. You actually have to do it through a tour company, which puts you on a boat with the kayaks, takes you out there into one of the major places where you have the most beautiful views. Then they disembark you from there on the kayaks, and you are led, I believe, by a tour guide through these areas so you can see these spots. Now, kayaking next to the rocks can be a little bit dangerous because sometimes there are falling rocks, so you will have to maintain your distance, but it's one of the most interactive and like close quarters experience that you can get with Pictured Rocks. And there are some amazing views that you can get from the shoreline when it comes to that. I mean, here's just a few and some of my own personal experiences. But besides the boat option, the kayak option, there is also a tour boat option. So you basically get on this giant boat, and the giant boat is going to take you all throughout the most beautiful places from Munising all the way, I believe, to Spray Falls, which you can see over here. And that's going to be about an hour to 2 hour tour. Now there you are just very hands-off. You don't do any kayaking, you don't control the boat, you're just taking on the tour, and they're pretty interactive. Like, I've seen like these giant boats, they'll go into some of the areas inside Pictured Rocks, so it's kind of like amazing, or piloting or whatever you call it, when somebody controls the ship. The captain of the ship does a really good job, so you can get a really cool interactive experience with that as well if you just want to sit back and enjoy the ride. But the next one that I highly recommend is either renting a boat or preferably a pontoon. So this is what a pontoon looks like, and that's actually what I rented when I went to Pictured Rocks. And for me personally, like I said, I'll leave a link below the video to the specific spot that I used, but it's going to be a couple of $100s for a 4-hour tour, or it's going to be, I think, a little over $500 for an entire day. Now, the 4-hour tour is going to give you pretty much enough time to check out Grand Island and the coast of Pictured Rocks. That'll take you all the way to Spray Falls and back, and that was plenty of time for me to fit in. I had about like 20 minutes left afterwards, but if you want more time, a more relaxing day, do the entire day trip. Go with people. Don't just do this by yourself. Go with a group of people so you can share the expenses, because it is an amazing experience. You can bring snacks on the boat. Obviously, you gotta make sure that you clean up after yourself and stuff, no littering or anything like that, but the pontoon, in my opinion, gives you the best of all the worlds when it comes to boating options. While you can't do a kayaking stuff, but you won't get tired from it, you can get as close as you want, or rather, safely close enough to the cliffs of Pictured Rocks. There's even opportunities to dive into the water as well. I didn't do it because it was absolutely freezing the day that I went there. Obviously, you also want to be careful to make sure you stay away from the kayakers or the other boats. They do give you the rules to follow before you embark on the pontoon. Like, you can't get, I believe, about 200 feet away from the kayakers. They'll let you know what the distance is, but you got to make sure you do that. But controlling the pontoon is actually very intuitive, very easy. I got it within 5 minutes of getting on that boat, and I highly recommend it. You can also pull shades up if it's a really sunny day and you don't want to get a sunburn. And while you're on the boat, I can't keep talking enough about how awesome this experience is. You'll see, besides the shipwreck that I told you about in Grand Island, you'll also be able to see an abandoned lighthouse, the beautiful sea cliffs, waterfalls flowing from Pictured Rocks into Lake Superior. Just a whole bunch of amazing Easter eggs that you can see from a completely different vantage point versus from the top, which was the first way to explore Pictured Rocks. So, I honestly recommend that you do both. And if you go there, do like a 3-day trip, 2-night overnight trip. Stay in Munising, or rather start in Grand Marais. do a one-day trip here, hike, explore, maybe camp out, go to Munising the next day, grab the boat, explore it, or the pontoon rather, explore it by that, or you can use the kayaking or whatever you prefer in terms of exploring it, and just enjoy it, because Pictured Rocks is really an amazing, amazing place. I would even call it a bucket list item. The waters are like crystal green, emerald green rather. They're just absolutely stunning. It's, you know, I'm showing you all these pictures that are here, but the truth is when you get to Pictured Rocks, it is just breathtaking, and it is a place that I plan to return to again and again and again. In terms of where to stay, Grand Marais is one option. You have all these little towns here, but Munising is going to be your best bet for having the most options for hotels, restaurants, places to eat, and all that sort of stuff. Now later on, if you want to keep continuing, you can continue to head west to explore more of the Upper Peninsula, which I will create a separate video on. But to finish up, Pictured Rocks is absolutely a place that I highly recommend that you check out. I'm going to leave a few links below this video. One is going to be to my blog post that talks even more in length about Pictured Rocks and what you can check out over there, as well as other awesome hidden gems that you can explore there, which I didn't talk about here, but it's available on the page. I'll leave a link to that pontoon rental area that I personally used when I arrived, as well as just a link to some gear that I recommend that you check out if you are someone that's hiking and you don't have it. But anyway, thanks for watching this video. I hope that it was helpful. If you've been to this place, let me know. Like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any questions about Pictured Rocks, feel free to leave it below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.